The nature of the learner, infancy. What do we know at birth? Are our behaviours imitated, and how do we learn new things? What do we see, hear, and feel at birth? Babies are born with very little vision. In fact, they're very close to being blind. They can only see about 20 centimetres from them. They have about 2500 vision. Babies can hear quite well, and studies have shown that they prefer the sound of their mother's voice. They tend to prefer to eat very sweet things, and they're extremely sensitive to touch and can often be comforted when you place your skin against their skin. They love that feeling of skin on skin. Babies can tell the difference between their mum's smell and someone else's smell. This was done through a series of experiments where they placed the mum's breast milk on one side and another lady's breast milk on the other side, and the baby always turned to their mum's smell. Babies have no voluntary actions. They respond almost entirely by reflex. That is, at birth they have about 20 reflex. One such reflex is the sucking reflex, and when you put your finger inside the upper lip of a baby, they cannot control themselves. They will suck on your finger. What do we know about nature and nurture? There is very little correlation between the baby's temperament and the behaviour profile as they age. We know that a great number of studies have been conducted over the past 30 or more years, suggesting that babies can imitate behaviours such as poking the tongue. These studies, however, were found to be wrong, and it's known that babies learn this skill as they develop. And this was done in a study out of University of Queensland. Nature versus nurture. If you think about nature as the inbuilt, say, brain patterns of a newborn baby, well, the fact is that the brain changes drastically in the first 2 years of life. The cortex doubles in size, synapses grow all over the place, and then they are pruned back. So basically, any cognitive wiring that you have at birth is going to be completely different 2 years down the track. This suggests that you are not predisposed to certain types of behaviours. However, your environment may affect the way that gene is expressed. Relationships. The bond between a mother and a newborn is incredibly important. This is quite interesting from a biblical perspective. When you look at God placing Adam in the Garden of Eden and desiring that close relationship with him, you can see many correlations here with that bond between a mother and the child. Babies are often very lovely until something goes wrong. For example, they might get hungry or they might experience pain. They will often turn to their mum for comfort. It is so important that what is established so young often remains with them. So this dependence on mum or reliance on mum for comfort is something that often remains with them into their adult years. Sigmund Freud was famous, and he called this the dependency theory, where babies were essentially helpless. They were just big blobs. And they learned very early on that their mother provides them with the basic needs of comfort, food, security, safety, and closeness. This dependency theory was widely criticised because if a baby could turn to a mum for food, then they could also turn to a cupboard for food. So then wouldn't that suggest that they would form an attachment to the cupboard because that provided them with the food that they need, one of their basic needs? Through the work of Harry Harlow of monkeys, that we learned that babies like to cling rather than feed, and that babies cling to their mums for safety and survival. If this connection with the mum is lost or taken away, it can be overcome and we can develop the capacity to build loving relationships.